Well, staying with somber news, President Cyril Ramaphosa has declared that the late former Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, Aziz Pahad, will be honoured with a special official funeral Category 2 tomorrow. Pahad passed away on Wednesday. This was at the age of 82, but President Ramaphosa has extended his deepest condolences to the extended Pahad family, who have in short succession lost Mr. Aziz Pahad and his brother, former minister in the presidency, Aziz Pahad, who passed away in July of 2023. Now, the funeral service of the former deputy minister will commence at West Park Cemetery, and President Cyril Ramaphosa has declared that flags be flown at half-mast around the country until tomorrow evening. Meanwhile, International Relations Minister Naledi Pandor says the late former Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, Aziz Pahad, contributed immensely to building and strengthening South Africa's foreign policy. Pahad, who served as the Foreign Deputy Minister from 1994 to 2008, will be buried tomorrow. Pandor spoke exclusively to the SABC International News editor, Sophie Mokoena, after the meeting with Tunisian Foreign Minister in Pretoria.
I'm really saddened at the passing of former Deputy Minister Aziz Pahad. This was a great freedom fighter, a fantastic personality, and someone who has had a sterling role in the history of South Africa, having joined the struggle against apartheid as a very young man, coming from a community that we might not often believe would so firmly be involved in the struggle against apartheid. He came from a political family. As you know, his brother was Dr. Aziz Pahad, and the two went into exile together. But I think Aziz stands out as an internationalist, as someone who was so committed to the cause of international relations and actively gave his life and dedicated it to building international links throughout the world. I think the character of South Africa's foreign relations was shaped very much by him. I did have contact with him after I took up this office. I had hoped to visit him and had requested a visit to his family, but unfortunately I think he was already very ill at that time. And I really, while feeling sad, I think what a fantastic person, what an immense contributor to our history and to our freedom.
At the time where South Africa is under pressure in terms of the foreign policy, we know that there were times where they had to deal with these kind of pressures, particularly during the war in Iraq.
Indeed, he was renowned for being the person who attempted to persuade President Saddam Hussein that they should accept the inspections because they had to assure the world that there isn't such a thing as weapons of mass destruction. And also he was a man of peace. So he wanted to avoid war, and even with the American leadership, he would engage with them to say, you can't have war against Iraq. And of course we know he was a peacemaker, being a special envoy of matters of the Democratic Republic of Congo, and had always articulated his support for the cause of the people of Palestine, and I think was a leading South African proponent that we needed to stand shoulder to shoulder with the people of Palestine, and not just in protests, but in all international institutions.
And finally, you were in Washington, the continued engagement with the Americans. Are you beginning to find one another, that the issue of Lady R, the president has kind of shared information, or the president has released the report? Are the Americans now accepting that they add?
Well, all they've done is say they acknowledge the thoroughness with which the South African government has approached this matter. And they haven't said any more on the evidence that they had, which is what all of us had been waiting for. As to our relations, we are proceeding as the two governments to do the work that governments must do. I've been a little perturbed at this hearing in the House of Congress, where they'd invited two South Africans to comment, not just on South Africa's government, but on the ANC as well. And I thought it was a kind of misplaced approach, because the government operates on the basis of the Constitution, and the ANC is the governing party but doesn't run government offices. So I thought the subject matter was rather odd. And I think we need to continue to engage our colleagues in the United States of America to correct what I believe are a number of misperceptions about our country.